Today we need to get into HYBE posting something that is related to BTS and JK, and people seem upset, so we need to talk about it. We also have JK being mocked for being a chef again and what that concern is, and then we have an update on JK and his children's hospital donation. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hate it or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, and make sure you join us very going on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. So if you're not aware of what's happening with JK at Seoul Hospital, we need to talk about it because it's a very, very big deal. So recently, JK donated, I think, 1 billion won, with a B, to the Seoul Hospital. This hospital says that it's also a university, so my assumption is that it just isn't a normal hospital where they treat patients, but it's also a teaching hospital as well. So donations to this hospital, especially this large amount, is definitely something that's not only going to help the future of the patients that go there, this is also going to help the future doctors and nurses and staff members that could potentially grow from there. We got an update a bit recently where I was asked about this donation specifically, and JK talked about his process behind why he made that donation and what it means to him. He said that recently he's been thinking a lot more about kids and where they come from and all that sort of stuff, and he wants to be putting money towards that. I believe the money was supposed to help people who were in need, who maybe couldn't afford their treatment or whatever it is. I don't know what the healthcare system is like over there, and if the government really covers everything, or if it's like the patient has to cover like 90% of it, and then the remaining bit the government covers. However, it's a fantastic thing that he did, and I'm sure he'll have a plaque in one of the wings of the hospital to say his name or something, unless there's hundreds of other celebrities that have donated more money that would fill up the plaque. I don't know, but I think the amount that he has donated definitely would call for a plaque. So I'm sure if you go to the hospital, you might see his name there. Donating to a hospital is probably the best thing that you can do when you become a millionaire or become super rich. I think people tend to think that people who are donating are doing it just so they can do a good deed, or are donating because they have so much spare money, so they decide to just give back. And while I believe that this could be the case for JK, a lot of people actually donate to the hospital for a little bit of a different reason. Of course, the huge tax write-off, and there's a lot of tax benefits to donating something that large. But aside from that, now you're seen as this VIP, this huge celebrity, this huge amazing person in the eyes of the hospital people, the president of the hospital and all that. So next time you go in for a treatment, next time you want to get any sort of health issue fixed, you're the first person that they are going to help. They will make sure that JK and anyone who donates that large amount of money will be taken care of first and foremost and get the best surgeons or whatever doctor that he needs. This is probably a perk that JK might have considered, because I'm sure that they're told that they would get this perk, and he probably would know that it's a perk, hence why he picked Seoul, because he probably would be in Seoul, and Seoul is one of the best hospitals, and hence why he didn't pick a hospital in the US, because it wouldn't necessarily make sense for him to fly over to the US to get treatment. So it adds to another list of reasons that people don't really need to worry about him, because he will get the best treatment ever. Of course, while there are great posts and new news about this sort of stuff, there's also new news that seems to be upsetting people. Recently, people got a notification that BTS was releasing a festa. Now, if you're unsure of what the festa thing is, this is something that BTS does pretty much annually or every couple of months, where they'll release content from a lot of the older stuff, whether that's Bang Bang Con, whether that's from a music video shoot or whatever it is, and then they will kind of show the behind the scenes of that so people can buy the festa. Or there might even be certain clips that they posted on YouTube. So recently people got a notification for a teaser on what's coming out and what's happening. So people were very surprised to see how much is coming out right now. Now, this is the part where some people felt was a bit more controversial. Of course, since the members have enlisted, I think a lot of people are just aware that the content that comes out is not coming from the members themselves. They tend to overly criticize a lot of the stuff that has come out. For instance, this is unrelated to the festa, but there has been a release of BTS merch that has come out since BTS has enlisted, and people are upset that the merch seems to be low quality and low effort. Now, low quality and low effort is something that they are saying. I highly doubt that it's actually low quality and low effort, as in I'm sure that the quality of the merch they're selling is actually good. Like, it's not going to be a t-shirt or a hoodie that just falls apart after one wash. However, I was seeing comments under the teaser of the festa saying that the poster of it was very low quality and seemed low effort, or even that it was boring. And this is where I think a lot of people tend to overthink themselves, and their thoughts aren't always based on reality. Now, just because the boys were active at one point and will be active again doesn't mean that when they're active, they're making the decision on things like the release of a poster or something. And even going back to the merch, it's not like they are thinking about those little merch things. Like, yes, the members have their own merch, but they're probably not going to be in charge, nor even really thinking about the merch that the label releases on their own, i.e. like the shirts with the members' faces on them, or just shirts with the name BTS on it. Like, there's still a market for that type of merch. It's not like every merch drop needs to be this huge thing or needs to be a custom made and really creative and different. Sometimes it literally could just be the member's name, and that's fine. People want that. I'm sure the members have some say whether they like all of the creative things that are being rolled out, whether that's a poster, a teaser, or whatever it is. However, I can almost bet that half the time they're not really being told or asked their opinion on, and these teaser posters just get dropped. They're busy touring, they're busy doing things. The team just drops it. When it's the label that needs to approve it and not the artists themselves, people within the label are just going to ask the label if it's okay and then drop it. It's probably never going to be run through to the artists. And the perception of this is due to the fact that they were once active and not active anymore. However, neither then nor now were they probably making this specific decision. Now, the reason why JK is being talked about a lot more now, even though he's talked about a lot anyway, is because he is releasing a new song that would be out on the 7th. And people are very excited about that. But of course, when a lot of eyeballs come on a celebrity or a lot of people start talking about them, a lot of other stuff starts coming up as well, and sometimes negative things. It shocked me to see some of these things come up because it's clear these things were old things. So that bothered me because you're making a big deal about something that these people were alive and around when the old things were around, and they're making a big deal about it now, i.e. 3D and 7. Now, they're not talking about these more sexual lyrics. I think they were kind of getting used to this idea that JK was going to be talking about more adult topics, but I've seen some people specifically be upset at Jack Harlow's verse and saying that it came across as misogynistic or sexist. And, you know, that's a debate that you can have with him, but that's not something that JK did himself. Most rappers, most people that do rap are writing their own lyrics, so bring that up with him. And there was also a lot of stuff going on with JK being a chef in the military. People were scared or anxious that he was going to be mocked in the military just being a chef. And again, I'm not saying that being a chef is easy or that being a chef is less than. That is not my feelings about that. That's just what people online are saying. And so some people have mocked him, and a lot of people are saying things online, and a lot of people are scared that he might be getting targeted in the military. But understanding that being in the military means a collective effort, and a lot of people in the military are very understanding of the fact that it's a team. It's not just themselves. Now, you have a culture where it's about collectivism and not individualism, coupled with the fact that the military and that ideology is drilled into their heads. They're not going to think that someone who provides food for them or someone who cleans up for them or whatever is someone that is less than for them, because people will look for a reason to mock someone. And people in K-pop love to talk about status. They love to be like, oh, this person has a higher status because they do this job, but this person doesn't because they do that job. And that just makes the world an awful place. I think everyone is equal, and their job doesn't define who they are. What defines them is literally who they are. Are they a person that's kind? Are they a person that's smart? Because you can be smart and work in any field. So if JK is a chef, that is good for him. And I think that people should be excited for him to do that, because this is something that he likes to do. It's his passion to cook. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. I'll link down below. Thanks for the comment writing. Love you. Bye.